pretty predictable. An alert person can get within striking distance of a cobra that's standing up, allow the snake to strike, and avoid being bitten. That's why they use them, kind of adds an element of safety to the act. Strike. Kicking. You come kicking. Okay, well, I'm not that scary to him either. What was I going to say here? Like I said, these cobras, they're the snake that kills more people than any other snake species. The numbers I've seen, they're all rough estimates. Generally, they're between about 15 and 25,000 people a year, though. When you look at the U.S., we have many different species of venomous snakes, generally 5,000 to 10,000 bites and less than a dozen fatalities. So it goes back to the fact that these guys are so common, so aggressive, and there's that lack of medical attention throughout the region, which again is a very bad combination. On top of that, they've got a really potent venom. It's considered to be about 40 times as toxic as cyanide. The quickest recorded fatality for one of these snakes is just under 7 minutes. Like I said, really easy to identify these guys. They've got that unique tail appendage there, that rattle. A lot of myths going around about rattlesnakes because of the rattle. One of the most common you'll hear is that if you get down there, you count the number of segments on the tail, that'll give you the age of the snake. No truth to that. They get a new segment each time they shed their skin. This can be from 1 to more than a dozen times a year, depending on how fast he's growing, how much he's eating, things like that. It's actually made out of the same thing your fingernails are. They're pretty fragile, they break off frequently, so not an accurate way to get the age of the snake. The other myth you'll hear is that a rattlesnake's always going to rattle before he strikes. That actually comes down to the personality of that snake. This one's rattling a lot. He's up in the strike position right now. Kind of twitchy, hasn't struck out at me yet. We bring some out that rattle the whole time, don't even seem to care we're up here with them. We bring others out that hold their ground, strike constantly, don't rattle at all. Goes down to the personality of that snake. Most herpetologists will tell you rattlesnakes don't even know their tails make noise. Goes back to no ears, you can't hear that. Not to mention most snakes, when they feel scared, their tails shake back and forth rapidly. It's a nervous twitch snakes have. This is just an adaptation on that twitch. It's a warning, it's saying I'm dangerous, stay away from me, don't step on me, stuff like that. If you do hear this rattle, the best thing to do is stop the second you hear it. The acoustics of the tail can make it hard to tell which direction the snake's located. There's been a lot of cases of people hearing the rattle, turning to run, and running straight into the snake, which is going to result in a snake bite. So the best thing to do is stop, try to visually locate him, then move around him. If you can't actually see him, slowly move in one direction, being very careful where you're walking. If you get bit by one, or by any venomous snake, there's really nothing you yourself can do to affect the outcome of that bite in a positive way, besides going straight to the hospital. You're going to hear a lot about those folk remedies, especially that cut and suck method. Cut between the fang marks, suck the venom out, cut X's on the fang marks, suck the venom out. You see it in movies all the time. They still sell snakebite kits that tell you to do it. It doesn't work. You're never going to suck enough of a snake's venom out to make a big difference, especially with a viper like that. Such long fangs, they're injecting that venom so deep, you're not going to get any of it out. And then cutting yourself, that's just stupid. All it's going to do is start destroying tissue more quickly. You're going to run the risk of infection. Not to mention, there was a guy here in the U.S. About 30 years ago, bitten on the leg by a snake, tried that cut and suck method. He hit an artery and bled to death before he could get to the hospital. To make it worse, it turned out the snake that bit him wasn't venomous. So first thing you got to do is learn how to identify the venomous snake species in your region. And if you are bitten by one or think you're bitten by one, only thing you can do is head straight to the hospital as quickly as possible. Now that you guys can kind of tell the difference between these animals as you're looking out here, one of the really common questions we get is which one kills and eats people? Which one's the true man-eater? To be honest,
These are all carnivorous animals, they all eat meat. They've all been known to be cannibalistic and eat each other. So they're not picky animals, they're not gonna worry about killing and eating a human. It's just gonna come down to whether or not they get the chance to do so. Here in the US, we have both crocs and gators in the wild. You don't hear of either one bothering people too often. That's because we don't give them the opportunity to do so very frequently. Once you start to get into some of the developing countries of the world though, places into Africa, into Asia, down into South America, there's going to be a lot more contact between the people and the animals. In Africa, where these Nile crocs are found, because so many of the people have to go to their local rivers and streams to get their water, wash their clothes, bathe, whatnot, that gives these animals a very frequent opportunity to prey on humans. So it's claimed more people are eaten each year in Africa by the Nile croc than by all other wild animals on that continent combined. So you could say the Nile crocodile is the true man-eater. You've got to remember that they have been known to take women on occasion. Oh.